Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It's been a while, 2 months since my last video, which is pretty atrocious for a YouTube channel. But I've been away with work. 10 weeks I've been away. 2 weeks up in the Northern Territory, up in Darwin, so I could get into WA, and I've been there since. So with border closures, that sort of shenanigans, I've kind of been away doing that. So 2 months I've been away. Well, 2 months since my last video. 4 months ago, I did a video about pulling the LS out of this and going with a new engine, the 7.3 Godzilla. So when I sold the LS, I spoke to the guys at Speed Pro in Melbourne, over in Victoria, and they had a container coming over with a few engines in, and they had one that was unaccounted for. It was just a spare, and I put my name on that. That would be that one. So the Godzilla's arrived. So first thing I did when I came home, well, back a bit, while I was away, that arrived. The guys called me and said, "Dude, your engine's here." I had it shipped over to Andy and Gav at AdmoFab, Adelaide Motorsport Fabrication, and they stored it in their engine room, their part of the shop, for me while I was away. Thank you very much for that. Hugely appreciated. They didn't draw anything on my box. The box. I was threatened with that, but they left it alone. They didn't unwrap it. They didn't have a look at it. So thanks, guys. And the reason I joke about that, I'll explain in a little bit. But yeah, first thing I did when I got home Thursday morning was go down and pick this thing up. So I've got that. And I've just been out today visiting some other friends with shops that are friends anyway. And I've seen Aaron at 3R Technic, who I've mentioned before. He painted the coupe when I set fire to it, and it's helped me out with a whole lot of things over the years. He's a great mate, a good guy, and I picked up those. So he's painted my wheels for me. So I got the engine, and I've got some wheels. I've done a little bit of work on the tub. Nothing as exciting as a new engine and some wheels, but let's get into this engine. Let's talk about that. Something else I should probably mention. Yeah, I'm wearing a Filthy Builds t-shirt. I'm not sure how I feel about wearing my channel's name on a t-shirt. I feel like a bit of a peanut. I guess it's cool, but it just seems weird. But anyway, and also I need a new intro music montage thing. So if anyone can do anything with that, please let me know. So this thing, my Godzilla, King of the Monsters, apparently. It's a 7.3 litre 445 cubic inch pushrod petrol V8. It's not a 302 as the part number on the bracket may suggest. That's just the part number. There is a lot of information on these engines on YouTube. There's a channel, Revan Evan. I'll put a link in the description. He and Brian Wolf, who worked for Ford and had a lot to do with the design team for this engine, they've been doing videos on it. They've supercharged one, they've pulled one down, they've done a video on comparisons between this, like physical comparisons between this and a Coyote and a 351 Windsor. For those wondering, it's a touch narrower, like an inch and a half narrower than a 351 Cleveland, and a little bit wider than a 351 Windsor, so it will fit in the engine bay of your XA to XF Falcon. It is longer, And if I could spin it around here, it's quite a tall engine. It looks like it's got a shallow sump on it, the oil pan, but if you notice these bolts here, they're mains bolts, so it's got a 6-bolt cross-bolted mains, which is great for power boosts, longevity, that sort of thing. So it's got a deep skirt on it, and it does have a very deep rear section of the oil pan. But overall, it's a tall engine. But Nathaniel from Fuel Tech Australia and Danny Engines, he has an XA Falcon, and that now has a Godzilla in it with a Harriet 2650 blower or 2450 blower on it. I'll write that down below what that actually is. The same one they made, like 1300 horsepower or something on the dyno with a stock engine. He's got that in his XA, and the blower fits under the bonnet, so it can be done. And with regards to the oil pan, so the oil pickup is below the oil pump, and that big section of the pump there, that's the oil cooler on the outside. The oil pump's chain driven off a gear inside the timing cover, and there's a shaft that goes through the sump and drives the oil pump. That is a headache for Falcons. So on Nathaniel's car, they've it's a Profab in Wollongong in New South Wales. I hope that's right. They've made an oil pan to suit a Falcon and mounts to run a external oil pump, like a dry sump pump, but for a wet sump. And they now sell that as a kit, so you can bolt these into your Falcon. Internally with this engine, externally it's got alloy heads, they've got big ports, they're a really nice head. The manifold sits sort of on top of the port. The injectors are on the heads, not the manifold. It's a really nice design. Really nice exhaust manifolds that are reversible for turbos, if you're that way inclined, which I kind of am. But yeah, it's got a forged crank. It's got a monster crank in it. I want to say bulletproof crank, but it'll have its limits, but it's got some good gear in it. The weakness would be the rods. I think they're a sintered rod, like the LS factory rods, and the pistons are just factory pistons, nothing fancy. But with rods and pistons, bigger injectors, and a whole lot of boost, these things are a monster. Yeah, 7.3 litres, 445 cubes. The oil pan fits in this, from what I can see so far. I have loosely placed it in there. It should clear the steering rack, but it's quite deep, and driving around with the suspension aired up will be okay. But at the moment, aired out, the sump will be on the ground, so I do have to do something with that. I'll go into it later when I start messing around with the engine, because I do want to put a cam in it and some other little bits and pieces. There are companies that do aftermarket oil pans in the States, and billet plates for the back of the oil pump, which moves the pickup point, but they don't sell them separately. So I've been talking to a friend in Melbourne with a CNC machining shop, and we're looking at doing something there and just shaving the bottom of the oil pan. But when I get into that, we'll discuss it. So yeah, and with the transmission for this, I'm looking at either a 4R100, which is a bit of an older box, but it's a good box, and it's strong, and the Fuel Tech ECU that I want to run in the truck will control that. I don't have to run a separate controller. The 6R80 would be a really nice choice. That's the Mustang and I believe Ranger gearbox. They do have issues that can be addressed and made into a strong box, but then I have to run a separate controller. But it would be cool to have a 6-speed trans in the truck. So we'll see what happens. But what I'll do now is I'm going to throw some bits on the truck because I want to see it with my new wheels. And I'll lift this engine up and we'll set it in place and we'll have a look at what's going on with that. So I've taken some more out of the floor on both sides. Well, I did the other side, excuse the mess. So now I've got the cab sitting right down. I've cut more out of the sides of the tub so I can plan on compressor and tank mounts, battery mounts, that sort of thing, fuel tank, and start making the frame for the floor. And I've cut the front across out there. I've still got more shit to take out, more stuff, sorry, and I've cut the back out so I can sit the tub down kind of around about level there. But there's this thing. So just got the seat of the bags in the front. I've just got the suspension just ratchet strapped up so I can get an idea of what's sitting where. The wheels on there. But yeah, Godzilla's in place. It's quite large. Apparently it is narrower than a Cleveland, but it fills it up. There's still adequate clearance down between the car guys, front end and the exhaust. And if I do put headers on there, they'll go in there quite nicely. And if I do decide to reverse them, they'll either come forward and up or forward and down. There'll be room. I haven't got it sitting exactly in place, but that's close to where it'll be. Major issue on this side that I think will be the so this is going to be shortened. I'll have a joint right here and that'll come down for the steering rack. That's pretty much going to go right through the middle of that header. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do there. If I do get desperate, I can turn the headers around and have the exhaust going back under. It's not the best, but it'll work. So yeah, the preferred option would be flip them around, face them forward, and mount a pair of 76-75 precision turbos that I may have in the shed on another car on them. Getting a bit ahead of myself there. But yeah, so steering shaft clearance. Not sure how I'm going to work around that. I might be able to get, if I take that heat shield off, I might be able to get in there. I'll have a look at that when I put the steering rack on. Speaking of which, it's a bit hard to see with the wheels in place, but there is clearance, quite a lot of clearance between the front of the sump and where the rack bolts on. Fairly sure that that's enough for me to get the rack in there with that oil pan. But as you can see, the oil pan does hang down. This cross member here, where are we? This cross member here was going to be the lowest point of the front of the truck, and it was going to sit on that when the truck was aired out. Now we've got this. I believe with the oil pickup modification, oil pump modification, you can take 2 inches off that sump, which would get me pretty much spot on. I probably still want to put stands off the chassis so when it's aired out it protects the sump. I think if I can do those mods to the sump, then with that oil pickup modification, then that'll be okay. So that'll save me buying a new pump, new oil pan, that sort of thing. And the oil pump, I don't think I mentioned that the oil pump in this is a variable pump. so it changes with RPM, so the oil pressure changes with RPM. Very clever design, and I'd like to retain that. I can't do that with coupe, but I can with this, so we'll see how we go. But other than that, it's fits in there quite nicely. So yesterday when I had the engine sitting in place, I had it loosely in place. I just had it drop down, basically sitting on the chassis. My housemate Gus came out and had a look at it with me last night, and we decided that it wasn't anywhere near where it was supposed to be. So I've moved it around a little bit, set it on some blocks, and we'll just have a quick look at that just to check clearances and that sort of thing again. So I've got it sitting a little bit further forward than where it will sit. Like that gap there will close up quite a bit. I've got it sitting higher, so the bell housing, until I get trans I won't know, but I am going to cut some out of the firewall there. But there's, again, the engine's just loosely sitting on some blocks of wood. It's not in the right place, so it's resting against here at the moment. That'll move over a little bit and back, and that'll give me a bit of clearance through here, through the steering. So until I've got the rack and everything in place, I'm not entirely sure, but I do have to move the engine back for room for the steering rack, I think, because there's still quite a bit of room there. And now the sump is a little bit closer to the cross member, so we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I'll pick up a trans next break and hopefully, and see how it goes.
Yo, I'm the last man standing, steady demanding your attention. A soldier for Jehovah, I assume a position set before me. These rap cats bore me with their vernacular, the vision and abilities to penetrate and capture the heart of a listener.
Just jack the diff up to check for the clearance. The top arm brackets on the diff, the clearance to those floor bars. I wasn't 100% sure on that, so I wanted to check that. So I've jacked I put a jack under the diff, crank that right up, compress the bags. And that's kind of what we've ended up with. I'm pretty stoked with that. I'm happy with that. It's that's what I was after, pretty much. A little bit lower would be nice, but this way, because the back does sit lower than the front at the moment, like the front's pulled all the way up on ratchet straps, so the back of the truck sits down a little bit. Not a huge amount, but it does sit down. It drags its back end, which I'm okay with. But that'll protect this quarter panel, the back end of the truck being folded up. And I was watching a video the other day on YouTube of a guy airing out his F100. I'm not sure what the story with the build was, but the tub was really, really rusty over the arches. And when he aired the truck out and just shed the back end first, it actually folded the tub a little bit. And I don't want that, because this tub is, as rough as it is, it's very hard to get another one. And I've cut an awful lot out of this thing, but it cost me a lot of money, and they're just impossible to get here in Australia. So there is a company now that's making repro sides, fronts, rears, tailgates, inner guards, everything, but they're doing a whole one-piece side for these tubs, plus this bolt-on bit on the back here. But the bed kit, which is the two sides, the two sides in the front and the inner guards, is $3,300 US. So if I can save this thing, I'm going to do that. But anyway, That's the right height. I cannot wait to get this thing off this trolley and see what this thing looks like. We'll have a quick walk around and have a look.
Abnormal use is abuse, so many missing the point of their anointing. But now the word is spoken, now the chains get broken. From Raleigh, Durham to Oakland, the rap world loves it since my style done changed. To stay the same will be senseless, like Com's new name. So I maintain like number 13 on resurrection. Walking God's divine health with his divine protection.
So I didn't achieve a whole lot this break on the truck, building wise. I had some other stuff, some external stuff going on, nothing to do with cars. It took up a lot of my time and headspace. Yeah, I didn't manage to do a lot. I did do the start on the floor of the tub, which I've been meaning to do for a long time. I needed to do so I could check heights. And I got the cab sitting down level over the floors, so I've trimmed that up. So yeah, I haven't achieved much, but I do have the engine, and that's a major thing for this build. Getting hold of one of these things that sets the tone for everything now, so to speak. And of course, the wheels. How good are they? Now, huge thanks to Marcus and the guys at Speed Pro in Dandenong, Victoria, for hooking me up for that engine. I didn't get any deals or anything like that, but they looked after me with like the communication. They were just, everything was good. They were great to deal with. Getting it back over to Adelaide from there, quick as, no fuss, and they're just real nice guys to deal with. I've brought minor stuff from them before, and they've always been great. That is Shelby saying hello. Thanks, Shelby. So thanks to Speed Pro. Thanks to the guys at AdmoFab for taking care of that engine for me and not drawing dick and balls on the side of the box. And the reason I say that, if you're into cars, South Australian builds, Godzilla's going into Falcons. My good friend Benny Jetski from Jetski's Garage. I'll put a link in the description. He's got a black XB coupe with an XC front on it because that's what he wanted to build, and he got one before me. He's got a Godzilla sitting in the shed ready to go in, waiting to go in that thing. So please check out his stuff, his build. He's a good friend. He's a really nice guy. He's just starting out with YouTube stuff. He's done more than me because he's home more than me, but he messes around with other stuff on there. Check out his channel. Good stuff. Good guy. Give him a like, subscribe, that sort of thing. Help him out. He's helped me out. He's helped me out with the coupe, getting ready for drag challenge, that sort of thing, and he's a mate. Huge thanks to Aaron from 3R Technic for sorting out my wheels quick as for me and doing a real nice job. Again, he's helped me with other stuff, painting the coupe, getting it ready in short notice to after I set fire to it for the Ford Drag Nationals, making it look presentable. But he's knocked it out of the park with these wheels. That's the neighbour's dog saying hello. And lastly, and by no means least, I did catch up with a friend this morning, Jason from Tuffmounts. If you're a car guy and you don't know who Tuffmounts are, you're not a car guy. An Australian car guy. Everyone knows Tuffmounts. While these engines, no one's got these engines yet, pretty much. They've already got a universal engine mount kit for Godzillas. I went down and caught up with him this morning, checked out his turbo Barra 6-cylinder Fox body Mustang that's being built for a drag challenge and cruising. But I went and caught up with Jason, checked out his cars, what he's up to, and he's given me the parts to make the universal engine kit for this thing. It's not something he usually does, but he's helped me out with the parts to make the mod, because I would modify his kit anyway. So he's helped me out by giving me just the parts, or selling me the parts. So huge thank you to Jason. That's a massive help for me. And also another well-known guy in the Adelaide car scene, very nice guy. All these guys, they're all real nice guys. It's just a thing. But I've known Jason for a while, and Aaron and Benny. They're all really good guys, so support those guys any way you can, and check out their stuff on YouTube. Aaron's looking at doing some stuff, but Jason, Tuffmounts, they do stuff with Hoon TV. It's worth having a look, especially that Mustang. So I will leave this one here. Let's have another look at this thing. Whew. Sorry. I'll leave this one here. I'm back in a couple of weeks. I am going to do some more work on the truck. I've got to pick up a trans so I can start on the engine mounts, and do some work on the cab. But I do want to get some stuff done on the coupe. I need to get that together. That's bugging me that it's in pieces. So that's also on the agenda. So yeah, thank you for watching. Thanks for subscribing, those guys that have. I know there's a bunch of new viewers. I've been sharing pictures of the truck on a few of the American pages and that, so there's a few guys come on board. My Instagram's gone silly lately, with people checking out the truck. So yeah, thanks a lot, guys. I'll try and be back soon. Take care, look after yourselves, and I'll see you soon. Cheers.